I know most of you, and maybe all of you, actually had the opportunity to attend our first keynote address, our first general session with Bill Daggett, Dr. Daggett. What'd you think of that? Yeah, there we go. Well, Dr. Daggett certainly shared a lot of things, a lot of information with us today, and needless to say, without even beginning to even attempt to restate any of his remarks, I think we would all agree that what he did share with us are some very weighty issues about America, about public education, and about where we're going as a nation, and provided documentation, data, research that can give all of us concern in terms of our jobs as being the leaders, the elected leaders of the public schools of this great state, and the decisions that we are faced with. I would also say that this issue that was just debated is an example of the many issues that we face each and every day in this state and across this nation as well. The reason I wanted to just simply draw attention to this is the fact that the Missouri School Boards Association, ladies and gentlemen, is your association. This association was created by school board members, just like yourselves, for the purpose of serving school board members. We do not have another organization in this state, and other states do not have other organizations that serve school board members, by school board members, for school board members, other than state school board associations, and collectively we make up the National Association as a federation. We also all read newspapers, see newscasts, and so on and so forth, and we certainly are more than just casually aware of the attack on public elementary and secondary education in this country. I'm simply trying to draw attention to the fact that even though this organization is going on, I'm not sure, approximately 60 years of age, I can assure you that there's never been a time in the history of Missouri that we have needed the Missouri School Boards Association more than we need it today. The issues are absolutely enormous. And we have almost 1 million children attending our public schools that are depending on you as policymakers to develop policy that provides them an opportunity for an education that will position them favorably in a very competitive world. So I want to thank you, first and foremost, for your service on your local Board of Education. I admire you that you are willing to put your name on a ballot, to go before the public forums that you have to go before in order to express your perspective and your position on the policies that we need in this great state to provide a high-quality public school. I commend you for your public service. In doing the right thing, this organization needs to be, to some extent, reborn. And we are in the process of doing that this year with the action that this delegate assembly took this past June when you folks voted to change the governance structure of MSBA. Some of those changes are fairly minor. Some of them are significant. I'm only going to speak to two. One is changing the size of the board of directors. We have a 43-member board of directors, and these 43 people voted to downsize their board, which was a recommendation that came before you, the delegate assembly, in June and was approved. First of all, I want to commend again this board of directors for their leadership and their action, because the reason for doing this is none other than trying to do what is best to make this organization as effective as possible and relevant as possible in addressing the needs of public school children in this state. I would like to suggest that we give them a round of applause for their boldness and their commitment to a strong MSBA. As our board well knows, we're not letting these people go. We still have work to be done, and that's the second part of the reality. The second part of the reality is that we, through the leadership of our board of directors, our officers, and our delegates, are trying desperately to move the locus of influence from Columbia/Jefferson City out to our 17 regions to where we can empower, we can entrust, and we can mobilize the 3,500 school board members in this state to participate in the governance and to participate in the leadership, to participate in the policy-making process so that we can continue to influence favorably good policy for our approximately 1 million children that attend public schools. There's a lot of work to be done. Our president, Mr. Hutchison, appointed a task force. That task force is at work right now, looking at considerations of how we make this transition. Next spring in our regional meetings, you as delegates and your fellow school board members across the state will be voting for new positions for the first time in terms of regional chairs, board members, et cetera, et cetera. These elections, all but the officers, the 4 officers of the organization, will actually take place at the regional level. We are, and I don't have time obviously today to go into the great detail, but the spirit of what is happening through the leadership of your board of directors and officers is, again, and I'm being repetitive at this point, we want to empower and give authority and to give significance, real significance and relevance to the regions in terms of formulating and being an advocate for public elementary and secondary education. A lot of work needs to be done, and I encourage you, there's a real opportunity here, and we're going to be talking about this more tomorrow afternoon. There's a breakout session. You can look in your program about that, but we'll be a little bit more specific and a little bit more detailed tomorrow if you're interested. But the opportunity is here for people to become more involved in your association that you've created. And just a couple more things, and then I'll turn it back over to our president. But again, I can't help but reflect, as you have, I'm sure, on Dr. Daggett's remarks this morning. The thing that I came away with, and I look at things probably a little different than you. I'm sure you're looking at what he had to talk about today through the eyes of your Board of Education, through your community. I'm looking at it through the eyes of the executive director of a school board association trying to serve 500 and some schools across the state. 3 words came to my mind at the closure of that particular presentation: promoting, preserving, and protecting. Promoting, preserving, and protecting. MSBA, if we're doing it right, and our mission is what? Helping school boards succeed. That's the mission of this organization, of your organization. We need to be supporting and helping you. If we're going to do that, we need to help you in promoting public elementary and secondary education. We have opportunities to network, we have opportunities to share best practices, and we have the opportunity to tell the stories, the myriad of stories across this great state of the good things that are going on in public education. I know every now and then we get a little piece in this paper, a little piece in that paper. We need a campaign in this state to tell the good stories of what's going on in public elementary and secondary education to combat the negative stories that are out there. Your association is going to be committed to working with you in telling those stories. We have tremendous video capability. We have tremendous other types of capabilities. If you have a success story that you would like to tell about what's going on in your school, please contact MSBA. All of those ideas, all those opportunities, all those success stories need to be told, and your association prepared to assist, help in any way we can to get the word out in promoting the high quality and the good things with public elementary and secondary education. In terms of preserving, I think one of the best ways, and I think you would agree with me on this, is that one of the best ways we can achieve preserving public elementary and secondary education is do it in terms of board governance with excellence. Part of the challenges, ladies and gentlemen, to be very candid with you, that we face, not all, but there's certainly some opportunity to point the fingers at ourselves. And I don't mean necessarily just today, but over a period of time, boards of education. We've always had high-performing boards of education. The fact is we have 520 plus school districts in this state, and they all need to be high-performing. We are not any stronger than our weakest link. We all understand that in any area of life. And in terms of those who govern the public schools, we have to be strong in all 500 plus school districts. If we do our jobs, and if we do them with effectiveness and efficiency, we can go a long way in preserving this very valuable, incredibly valuable, as Dr. Daggett again emphasized this morning, that public education is an American ideal. It's a very American idea. It is the foundation of democracy by the belief statements of this organization, and we need to rise to excellence in our board work. One of the things that your association is doing to accomplish that is the promotion of continuous improvement in public education. And we have chosen, we, the board of directors and the officers again, have chosen a model. It's not the end all at all, and we're not trying to provide it that way, but Baldrige is a proven method of achieving great things in organizations, whether public schools, private enterprise, or whatever, and is a framework for continuous improvement. And your association has hired recently a new employee, Dr. Patty Polster. If you have not met her, she's been at the conference, but she is the Director of Continuous Improvement and is specifically and solely working on the Baldrige Initiative. The third P word that I mentioned, promoting, preserving, the final word is protecting. What we saw happen this year, this summer, is something that I hope none of us soon forget. Your association led a coalition of over 40 organizations, all concerned about the future of Missouri, in sustaining the veto of House Bill 253. Give yourselves a tremendous round of applause for the work that you did. That is the good news, and I've used this statement every now and then, but I love old Gary Pinkel's story. I mean, you all know Coach Pinkel, and he says, gentlemen, talking to his team, you guys can celebrate till midnight, and then we got to get ready for next week. Well, that's kind of the way I feel about this. We can celebrate right now, and should celebrate, and we are celebrating. It was a tremendous victory, a very important victory, but we got to get ready for next week. The General Assembly will be coming back in as January, as we all know, and there will be new ideas that will be shaking the very foundation, probably, of public elementary and secondary education and the funding that we need to sustain high-quality services to have a state that we value, enjoy, and can have a quality of life that we're used to having. Whatever those amendments look like, whatever those bills look like, whatever those proposals look like, the fact is we need to be together. We have to have a strong organization, just like we saw what can happen when we work together with a common voice, a common message, and be successful in sustaining a veto that would have been detrimental, if it had not been sustained, detrimental to all of our public schools. Let's learn from what we saw in 2013. Let's build on what we saw in 2013. That is the tip of an iceberg of what we can achieve politically, collectively, not for Democrats, not for Republicans, but for school children. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. I hope you have a tremendous conference, the remaining part of that, and thank you for your votes and for your support of and commitment. Sound like I'm running for election. Didn't mean to sound that. But I want to thank you for your commitment to the Missouri School Boards Association and giving of your time for this important work. Thank you all so very much.